Hi friends, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and today's Tuesday, June 13th, and I am sort of freshly back from a 2-week trip that my husband and I took to Missouri, where we bicycled across the state and back on the Katy Trail. If you watched the last episode, you would have heard me talking about that. So we did do that. We both made it through the whole trip, and it was a lot of fun. It was very challenging, but I'm glad we went and had a good time. I'm not going to be going into a ton of details and sharing pictures in this episode about that trip. I know a lot of you have said you can't wait to hear about it, and I can't wait to tell you about it, but I'm going to hold off and I'm going to do just a separate video about the trip so that I can share things in a little bit more detail and put in a whole bunch of pictures and video and things like that. I just can't do that today. So while I will probably be referring to the trip off and on throughout the video, this isn't going to be the big recap video. That will come in the next, hopefully, a week or two, we'll say. Anyway, if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for checking the video out. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. It's great to have you here. It's a lovely day out. I'm trying to avoid sitting in the sun that is coming down through the skylight in this room right now, so I'm kind of squished into the front of the room. It's a little awkward, but hopefully we can make it work because it is sort of mid-afternoon now, and this is what happens. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I'm sorry, it's been a while and I feel a little rusty here. You will find show notes in the description box below the video here on YouTube. And I also post them in the Ravelry group, the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Ravelry group, and on my blog on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works website. So you can find all that information with links to project pages and things like that. But as always, if you have questions about something and I haven't explained, that I haven't explained as fully as you need, feel free to leave a question in the comments or comments in the comments. I always love hearing from you guys. But if you ask a question, I will try to answer you there. Okay, so I've got a few announcements that I'm going to go through real quick here before we get into the crafting, because I do have projects to share with you today. First up, this is a lot of shop related stuff up front, but I'll try to be brief. Number one, my 2023 holiday countdown collections, a Middle Earth Winter, they are still up for pre-order, but just for a couple more days. Thursday is the last day, that's June 15th. After Thursday, they will be coming down out of the shop. So if you haven't pre-ordered yet and you would like to, you might want to hop on over there, because I'm not anticipating putting pre-orders up again before they all ship out in November. So this will be your last chance to place an order for those. Also, we left for vacation 2 days after I did a show, which means basically I did a show, came home, parked the cargo trailer, didn't look at it again until after we got back from vacation, and then it was like, oh yeah, I've got all of this yarn in inventory that I need to get up into the shop. So that was a lot of what I was doing last week. And at this point, I have a big chunk of it up in the shop. I'm kind of doing it in installments, but the first thing I wanted to focus on was getting all of the self-striping in there. And that is all up there right now. So I'm going to run through really quick which colorways I have in the shop. These are in no particular order, but I'm going to just show you the samples. These are the little samples I put up at shows on my display. So there is some Bright Sea, Cuddle Time, River Rocks, Your Mermazing. I decided to add a little mermaid to that one. Wild Atlantic Wildflowers, Wild Atlantic Pie, Wild Atlantic Pub Vibes. And then, I didn't have a small sample for this, so I stole one of my husband's socks. This is Gathering Seashells. One that I didn't have a sample for at all was my spring palette, Bright Spring Palette Pie, which I will put a picture of here. And then the last two are holiday kind of colorways that I decided to bring to shows. I'd never done that before unless it was close to a holiday, but it was kind of fun. People did enjoy having those. So I've got some Halloweeny in the shop right now, as well as some Sugar Plumbed. So those are the self-striping colorways left over from my show that are all up in the shop. They're on multiple bases. Not all of them are on all of the bases, but if you check the listings, you'll see what is what. And like I said, some there's a lot left over, some there's hardly any left over, but what I have is up there. So that's the self-striping skeins colorways available right now. I also had a whole bunch of Inversibles that I took to the show, so what's left of the Inversibles is also up in the shop. I want to say there's probably maybe a dozen different color combinations, and those are also on multiple bases, so you can see if there's anything there that you'd like for that. And then lastly, where did I put these? There are mini sets. There are full mini sets. I don't have those up yet. I'm going to not put those in the shop for a little while yet. I'll talk about that later though. But I did what I called mini duos because I used to just sell individual mini skeins at shows, and that's what led to me having them in the shop and having the mix and match 5 for $20 sets that I used to do. I don't do that anymore. Pricing has just changed too much for that to be feasible, but I wanted to have some minis without people having to buy an entire mini skein set if they just wanted to be able to do heels or toes or what have you. So I put together these twosies that I'm just calling mini duos. All those colorways I just showed you, there should be a mini duo that will coordinate with each of those, at least one. If you go to the mini duo listing in the shop, I have a list of what colorways each of them coordinates with, so that could be helpful to you. So anyway, you can look for those if you need some mini skeins, whether you're getting them because you're using them with one of those colorways or you just like the colors and want to get them, whatever, they are up there, and there's a whole bunch of those as well. So that is what's in the shop right now. I'm going to break up the last two, or I'm going to break up the rest of the show inventory into 2 more uploads. And I think one is going to be like larger project sets, like full skein project sets, half skein project sets, things like that. Those will go up next, along with whatever fiber I have. I don't have a lot of fiber left. I dyed a bunch of fiber for the show, and tons of it sold, which is always fascinating to me to see how well fiber sells at shows. It sells way better at shows than it does in my shop, but whatever. I mean, I'm just glad people like it. So, but whatever fiber is left, I will put in the shop because I know Tour de Fleece is coming up and you might want some fiber for that. And then the last thing that I will be putting up is the mini skein sets, because I want to release those at the same time that I release the pattern that I included with the 2022 holiday countdown sets, because it makes use of tonals and semi-solids, and that would be a really good thing if you want to use that pattern and get some mini skein sets for that. Having those sets would be very helpful to you. So I'm going to release those all at the same time, and that'll probably be in a few weeks. So that's everything in the shop right now. Yeah, so hopefully you'll find something that you like there. Oh, the only thing that is not in the shop self-striping wise are my signature colorways that I had up for pre-order while I was away. I need to fulfill those pre-orders before I put any of those up in the shop. So I had the brights and the neutrals at the show, but what's left of that I'm just going to hold off, and I'll put that in the shop once I get all of the pre-orders that came in shipped out. So that's going to be coming up in the next week or two. Okay, that's all the show stuff. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out of the way up top. I have May SSOY MAL winners, prize winners to announce in this episode, so that'll be coming up. And that's it. Those are my announcements for today. So now we're going to move on into the crafting, because I do have projects to share with you. Okay, so the first finished object that I'm going to show you is one that I've been working on for a while, and this is my 2 skein fingering weight sample of my upcoming new pattern, which is that moss stitch shawl pattern. Doing it in the fingering weight 2 skeins is a little bit of a long project, but it was really fun, and I thought I would get a lot more of this knit up in the car ride to and from vacation. I did work on it on the way out, but on the way back, I hardly knit at all because I was just tired. You bicycle over 460 miles in 12 days, you end up tired. And so I did not even really knit much, but I did knit it on it in the car last weekend because we had to go down to Maryland to my grandson's graduation party. He graduated high school. So those of you longtime viewers, you'll remember I had a grandson. He used to be little, and now he's 18 and he's graduated high school and is going to college. So anyway, we went to his party and I did knit a ton on this. Matter of fact, I finished it on the drive home. So here it is. And this I have been calling it the moss stitch shawl because that's what it is. It's pretty much all moss stitch. You can see, well, as the way I'm holding it, you can't, but you can see the texture of it. I really enjoyed knitting this. Now, it was a longer knit because fingering weight, 2 skeins, but it's such a nice, soft, lightweight shawl for warmer weather. Like obviously the way I'm holding it here, it looks a little bit more like you might want to wear it in cooler weather. So that's one of the ways I kind of like to wear these longer shawls, or you can do that loop and tuck it up under there. So that is one way of doing it. This colorway is Fluorite, which I will be dyeing up to put in the shop when I release the pattern. But yeah, you can do it that way. I mean, it's just like any other super gargantuan shawl. I have not measured this. Matter of fact, when I blocked this the other day, I couldn't even block it normally because it was so big it would not fit in my blocking area, and I was blocking it at night, so I couldn't even take it out on our deck because that's usually where I block really, really big things. Let me see, let me get this tucked up under here. So yeah, you can just wrap this up and drape it in so many different ways, and it is so soft and drapey. I have not had a chance to take the pretty pictures of it yet, which is why I'm just sort of awkwardly showing it to you here. I know it's over 6 feet long wingspan because my table that I was trying to block it on is 6 feet long, and it was way longer than that. It is probably closer to 8 feet long, I'm going to say. And then the depth is, I don't know, maybe 30 inches. Anyway, I'm so glad it's done because now that was the thing that was holding me up from being able to publish the pattern. Is I needed this sample to be done. I thought about it like not including this one, but I wanted it. So I have all 4 of the samples now. Single skein fingering weight, single skein DK, 2 skein fingering weight, and 2 skein DK. So now they're done. I can take the pretty pictures and incorporate them into the pattern, do one last proofread of the pattern, and then I'll be able to get that published and out to you guys. I'm hoping within the next week. So if you're subscribed to my newsletter, you'll know because I'll send out a newsletter about it. And if you're on Instagram or my Facebook page, the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Facebook page, it'll also obviously be out there as well. So that's coming up, but that sample is finished now. The other thing I finished, and I don't think I got to show you, was some spinning that I finished before I went away. Now, I do think I showed you this in my last podcast. This was some classy squid bats, her cuttlefish bats that I spun and then I plied with some John Arbon Devonia fiber that I did another single of. So that's what this is, but I'm pretty sure you saw this. What I don't think you saw was the remainder of the Devonia, which was this navy blue that I said I was going to chain ply with beads because I wanted to try this technique. And I think what I had said was there's no way I'm going to get this done before I leave on my trip. Well, that ended up being a lie because I did get it done. This was such a fun technique. That's the word I wanted. I will link to the article that talks about how to do it. I'm pretty sure it was a Knitty article now. But yeah, it was really easy to do. I just used a really tiny crochet hook. These are 6/0 glass beads. I don't know how well you can see them other than them just glinting there in the light. But yeah, I just had a really small crochet hook, which again, I don't remember the actual size of it, but I'll put that it'll be in the project page that I link to. So anyway, I did that and I really love how it turned out. Now, I didn't have any real feel for how often to add the beads. So when this is knit up into something, I have no idea like how the beads will fall or how many they're going to look like there are. Because it was just an experiment, but I do want to use it and knit it up for something. I can't remember my yardage either. I'm sorry. It feels like it's been an age since I finished this and did all that. I have not soaked this yet either, so that's going to sort of change my yardage a bit. But I would like to find a small pattern that I can do just to knit that up and see how it works out with those beads, because it was a really fun thing to do. I can totally see myself trying that technique again. With some other yarn at some point. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So that is my beaded Chain-Ply, and that's my only other finished object. I do have some works in progress. So let's see, which one is this? Okay, we'll start with this one. You will remember that I decided I was going to, you may remember if you watched the last podcast, my May Personal Stash Yarn Challenge yarn was a yarn set from Hoard Fibers, Hoard Yarns, Hoard Yarn. The colorway is Good Luck Black Cat, and this is what the main color looked like, and then it came with a 20-gram mini that was like a charcoal kind of color. And I decided to do Favorite Scarf Ever, which I have knit before. It's by Lisa Bruce. And I took this as my vacation knitting rather than a sock. So anyway, this is how far I've gotten. Now, I did not do all of this on vacation. And what you can see, and actually you can see this way better on the camera than you can in person, is to begin it, I alternated 2 rows of the mini skein with 2 rows of the main color. And I did that all the way until I ran out of half of the mini skein, because I split everything in half, because this pattern is worked in half. So you do the first half from the outer edge up, and then you do the other edge, and that way you get the chevron V's at both ends, because the upper end doesn't end up having that chevron pattern really. So then it gets seamed together at the top. So anyway, I used half of the mini until it ran out, alternating it, and now I'm just doing the main color, and then I will do that same thing on the second half and seam it together and block it out. I did this one wider than I've done this pattern before, so I'm hoping it will block out to be fairly wide and a little shorter, because I want to put buttons on it to be able to like drape it and then like button it up on one of the edges. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work out. I'll see once it's finished what I think about that idea when it's all done. But I'm enjoying knitting on it. I love doing chevrons. If you've watched the podcast for a long time, you know it's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm having fun with it. I like how the yarn is working up with it. The colors are, distributing quite nicely. I don't have any weird pooling going on, which is nice. So I will continue to work on that. Now, as I said, this was my May project, and I am taking part in the Yarn of the Month element of the, okay, I have to say this right. Another Year of Stash is the main knit along or make along that Carol from the A Stitch in Time podcast is hosting for this year. So I'm taking part in that, although I've been horrible at keeping up with the comments and the posts in her group. But I am taking part in that. And so I'm also taking part in like a separate knit along that's sort of a part of that. And that's the Yarn of the Month, like a personal stash yarn kind of challenge. Last year she did, I'm trying to remember what she calls it. I think last year was the Personal Sock Yarn Club. So it was all sock yarn. I did not take part in that, but I did what I'm doing this year and had my own like personal stash yarn challenge. This year, that's sort of what she's doing for the knit along itself. And I think it's called, I can't Carol. I'm sorry, why can't I remember this? Personal Stash Yarn Club, maybe. Something like that. It's the same general area. So as you may know, if you've watched, and I don't want to go repeat this a million times, but like I have different bags that I had pulled yarn out of. My husband put different yarn in each of the bags for me for every month this year, and I'm pulling one bag, and this was what I had pulled for May. So in Carol's group, though, you have 2 months to finish your project for each of your monthly yarns. So you have to start it in the first month. So I started it in May. It needs to be done by the end of June. I am fairly certain that unless something happens, some supernatural phenomenon happens, I'm not going to have this done by the end of June. I'm enjoying working on it, but I'm just not knitting on it fast enough for it to get done. I did work on it on the trip, though, which is odd for me because I usually take knitting on our vacations, and then I maybe work on it like one of the first nights and then never work on it again because I'm too tired or we don't have time. I did actually get to work on this a few different times while we were away. I worked on it the first night. I'd cast it on before we left. Then I worked on it the first night we were on the trail because we had stayed at this really nice little Airbnb, and it was a shorter day. We got in early enough that we could get cleaned up, do dinner and everything. And then I just sat on the couch and I did knit. That was really nice. And then I don't think I touched it again until maybe day 5, which was a day that we ended up having to go to a bike shop in Sedalia. Big shout out to Pro Velo in Sedalia, Missouri. My husband was having major ergonomic issues with his handlebars that had never been an issue before because he'd never done this kind of a long ride with this particular bike before, but his upper back and neck and shoulders were just in excruciating pain because of how he was having to sit on his bike. And so we got to that bike shop and they were able to, they had what he needed to like I don't know what they're called. It basically extended the handlebars up, those little things, I don't know what they're called, bar ends maybe, and they did the work and they put it on for him, which was incredible. They have a commitment. The trail runs almost right past their shop, and they said that they do everything they can to help out trail riders whenever they come by, which was great because their sign at the front of their store said like, you know, to get work done on your bike. They were running like a 30 days out, and they did this for him within like 2 hours of us showing up there. So yay, again, hats off to them. They were awesome. But I had 2 hours where I was basically sitting there, and it was like the first hour passed and I'm like, why am I not knitting? And so I went out and sat on their front stoop and just sat there and knit for a while. So I got that done. And then I think there was one other evening when we were staying like at a hotel, and I did do a little bit of knitting. But then I also worked on it on the drive home. I didn't work on that shawl, but after a while I did feel like knitting, so I did work a little bit. But I have been working on it a lot here at home. It's been my main project to work on. So anyway, it's coming along. Just won't be done by the end of June. Then the other project that I have been working on that you haven't seen in a while is the second sock of my Wild Atlantic Pup Vibes pair of socks that I gifted to my husband for his birthday in unfinished form. The first sock was done, so I hadn't been working on this at all for quite a while, but I picked it up yesterday maybe, and I was I was in the center of this brown stripe, and I needed to get to the end of that so that I could do the heel flap and the heel turn, and now I've picked back up and I'm on the gusset decreases. So it is coming along. This is probably more likely to get done prior to that shawl getting done, or that scarf getting done. And this is my bounce base. I know I'm telling you things really weirdly and out of order. I'm so sorry. But anyway, yeah, so this, I would like to get this done. Not that he's going to be wearing these socks anytime soon, because he won't be wearing wool socks in the middle of summer. I do, because my feet get cold. But yeah, so that is my only other project that I've really been working on over the last few weeks, because even right before vacation I wasn't really getting to work on a whole lot just because I was getting ready for that show. The only other thing that I would consider a whip is our garden. Our garden is struggling this year. Potatoes are doing awesome and our onions are doing awesome. Aside from that, I'm looking at it, it's struggling. Part of it is the ground is just very hard and clumpy this year, and I think it is because when Bill rototilled it, it was still fairly damp, and you're not supposed to till when the ground is damp like that. It should be fairly dry, but he had to do it when he could do it because we were going away. So that's part of the issue. But the other issue is we have a groundhog this year. We've never had a groundhog bother our garden before, but this little groundhog has been just having a field day. He's literally pulling plants out of the ground. I planted 3 cauliflower plants last week to replace other things that didn't come up. And by the next day, he had pulled all 3 of them out and munched them off. One of the 4 tomato plants I put in, he did the same thing. I planted a cantaloupe plant, which he has pulled out. I've tried to put it back in because he didn't really eat it, but he keeps pulling it out. And let's see, my sunflowers and zinnias, hardly any of them are coming up. It's so sporadic. It's just sad. And I don't know why. I've never had that problem with flowers before. Same radishes, a few are coming up, but the groundhog has eaten off some of the leaves of those. Had very few peas come up. Again, I always have luck with peas. Not doing well. None of my beans came up, which is weird. What else? Pepper plants. We did buy pepper plants and they're doing fine. So apparently the groundhog doesn't like green peppers or red peppers or whatever color we bought. I don't know. I'm looking down at the garden trying to remember everything else. But yeah, the potatoes look awesome. The potatoes are growing really nice and our onions are doing great. But that's it. I'm so frustrated. So the one thing that we did differently this year is in the last few years, we've put a border of flowers around the whole garden and like around the edges, around the perimeter. We didn't do that this year. And I'm wondering if maybe having those flowers there was enough, like it deterred the groundhogs or whatever from coming in and they could just eat the flowers and not bother the plants. Or maybe we just didn't have, I mean, I know I've seen groundhogs in the yard before, but I've never seen one this close up. Like he's actually been coming up into the driveway. Matter of fact, I walked outside one day last week. I think I was taking something out to the car to put it in that we needed to take with us to my grandson's house last weekend. And as I walked out the door, the groundhog was right there, kind of in the middle of the flat area near our shed. And he saw me and I saw him and I was like, and he was like, he turned around and ran and he rammed his head right into the downspout of the shed. And he let out a scream. I've never heard a groundhog scream before. My husband told me they're called whistle pigs. That's another name for groundhogs, and that's why, because they let out this sharp whistly kind of scream. I never knew that. But yeah, he did that, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And right as he did that, a hawk, big hawk, came swooping right down into that area of the driveway. So I don't know if it was me that scared the groundhog or if he knew the hawk was up there coming after him. But it was like a whole Wild Kingdom moment. So I put what I had to in the car and then I went around and I was looking for the groundhog, and here he went under the shed, and I looked under the shed because it's up off the ground on like 4x4s, and I could see 2 eyes and a little nose, and he was under there and he's like, no way, dude, I am not coming out. But I am pretty sure he's the one to blame for the things being torn out of the garden. So I'm not giving up yet. We are going to replant some stuff. I'm maybe going to put some cages around some of the bigger plants. I have to get the chicken wire to make those. I might try putting netting over. I don't know. Like, I don't mind that critters eat some of what I put in the garden. I feel like I plant enough that we can share. Like, I'm okay with that. But if you're going to rip everything out, then I have a problem. So we also have a huge have-a-heart trap that I could put up down there. But I feel bad about that because you're supposed to take them a couple miles away after you've trapped them. And at this time of year, I worry that if it's a mama, she might have babies somewhere, and I don't want the babies to get abandoned. I realize this probably sounds crazy to some people who just like to get rid of the pests, but like I would feel bad knowing that there are babies abandoned somewhere. Even though they may grow up and eat my garden next year, I still don't want to do that. So this is how we're handling it right now, by me just going, what to do, what to do, what to do. We'll get it figured out. It'll be fine. My herbs are all up here on the deck. Well, that's not true. There are a bunch of herbs in the garden. He hasn't bothered those. Like, those are bigger plants and they're okay. So I don't know what's making him go after certain things and not others. But anyway. And we also have crows. A lot of crows in the yard this year. And the crows could be responsible for the seeds not coming up because they may have just eaten the seeds. I don't know. That's gardening with Lisa this year. I'll keep you posted as to how that goes as we continue. Okay, let's get back to the actual fiber crafting though. I have some things that are not yet whips, and that would be number one, a new spinning project. I thought I was going to do that blue Classy Squid Shetland Tussa silk that I have, I think, 4 braids of. That was my original plan whenever I decided to do this first and finish this part of that spinning project off, because originally it was all one project and then I broke it back up. I don't know that I want to do that right now though. I'm out of my blue phase. I think I would like to do some other color, and I'm thinking about maybe just pulling some random, you know, one-off braids off my shelf and spinning those up. But the other thing is Tour de Fleece is coming up in July, and I don't always do Tour de Fleece. Matter of fact, it's been a long time since I have purposely spun to participate in Tour de Fleece. But I think I might do it this year. I kind of feel like I want to. So I may just not put anything else on my wheel right now, and I'll wait for Tour de Fleece to start, and instead I will focus on my weaving, because that is a fairly large weaving project that I'd like to get done. But then I also have some smaller weaving projects I would like to start, but I don't want to warp my small loom until I finish off this big loom. I just don't want to have that many things going at one time. But the other thing that is not yet a whip that really, really needs to become a whip soon is the blanket that I promised my grandson for his, not necessarily for his graduation, but to take away to college. So it's a graduation / going to college blanket that I want to knit for him. I do believe, after having several conversations with him, that I am probably far more enthusiastic about making this for him than he is about having it. Not that he will not appreciate it and not that he won't use it, but like even when I saw him last weekend, I'm like, okay, hey, I have the yarn for your blanket, but I want some input from you. Like, what kind of design would you like? Do you want stripes? Do you want them to be the same size? Can they be different sizes? Would you rather have a pattern? Would you like it to be one half one color, one? And he's like, whatever, Grandma, do whatever's easiest for you. I'm like, no, it's not about making it easy for me. I want to do what you will like to do, or what you will like. And he is so like just laid back and easygoing about it. He's like, yeah, whatever, it'll be fine. I'll like it no matter what. So that was not helpful to me. So I have to figure out what pattern I do want to do, but I do finally have the yarn. And the yarn was part of the problem because, number one, I realized I'm a dyer, and yes, I could dye the yarn for this blanket. However, I didn't have time to do that, and I really needed to have the yarn because I was working on show stuff, and I was going away for 2 weeks, and I really wanted to have the yarn ready to go by the time I got back from vacation. So I had been looking online. I don't know how many places I looked. I looked at Webs, I looked at Knit Picks, I looked at the Loopy U. I was looking for some place that had the colors I needed. He's going to UNCC, so University North Carolina, Charlotte. Their colors are green and gold. I will put a picture of their emblem, mask, whatever it is, up here. In a prior conversation, he said he just wanted the green and the gold. Fine. And so the green I didn't think would be such a problem. I was more worried about that gold because it's a very antique-y, brassy kind of gold color in a lot of the pictures. That's the other thing. Like, that emblem had it in those colors, but there are other ones that show them with the green being much darker, the gold being brighter. And so I was really having trouble finding yarn that was both the green and the gold close enough to one of those color schemes in the same yarn. And long story short, I ended up going with Cascade 220 Superwash because it has to be something that he can just wash and not worry about. Like, obviously, my grandson's not hand washing a blanket. So I ended up with these colors. Now, in this light, this green looks much darker than, well, it is a darker green. It's Forest Heather, and then this is, what's this one called? Hang on, let me look, because I started a project page for it, even though I haven't started the blanket. Forest Heather is the green, 866, and the yellow one is, or the gold one is 870, which is Straw. I think I've used this color before, like in their non-superwash. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to go, if I was going to do a heather, it needed to be both of them heathers. And this gold came the closest, in my estimation, to the gold that I saw most frequently in the UNCC things that have colors, those colors. And so the green is darker than it needs to be. It could be a brighter, not quite a hunter green though. I don't know. This was the best I could do. I hope he likes it, because now as I'm sitting here looking at it in this light, the gold almost looks not gold. It looks like gold on the screen, but in person I'm seeing less gold and almost more of a, I don't know. Well, I guess honey, like a darker honey is, I don't know. I've looked at these colors so much, I'm so tired of looking at them. Anyway, I found them at the Loopy U. They had both of these colors. Webs had some, but not others, and I just couldn't get it together. Plus, I think the Loopy U has better pictures of their colors than Webs does. That's been my experience. So anyway, I have the yarn. I have 6 balls of each of these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them though. I don't want to do a chevron. Like when I did Emma's blanket when she was in college, I did a chevron pattern and it was great. But number 1, I'm already working on a chevron project. And number 2, I don't know if he would think that was too, I don't think something that has those eyelets in it is going to quite be his thing. So I'm either going to do regular stripes or I'm going to do like, not asymmetrical stripes, but not stripes that are different widths. I may do that. I might do the little slip stitch thing where as you change colors, you slip stitches every once in a while to like blend them. I might do that some places. I don't know. It'll be a surprise to us all once I get it started, but I definitely need to get it started because he goes away to college in approximately 2 months and I need to have it done for then. So that is on my not yet a whip, but needs to be one. And I guess that's it. Oh, and my June Personal Stash Yarn project. We're almost halfway through. Well, yeah, we are almost halfway through June. I have not looked at this yet, so we're going to open this together. I have no illusion that whatever's in here is going to actually get knit and finished by the end of July, let alone by the end of June. But you know, I'm going to keep up with this. So let's open this bag. This is a Bags by Us and Granny bag that I did. We did a collaboration many years ago that I dyed yarn up with these colors and she did the bags. I just think they're so cute. Okay, what's in here? Oh, good. Oh, good. I knew it was 2 balls of yarn, but I could not think of what it was. And this is some Alafosslopi. So it is bulky. And I know I want to do color work with these. I bought these specifically with color work in mind. I don't know which color work. I want to make a cowl. I just don't know which one yet. And Alafosslopi is, I mean, it's Lopi. It's a little got that prickle factor, but I think it'll be okay. But yeah, I can't wait to make something with these. So actually, you know, this could get done by the end of July because it's a bulkier yarn. I don't think it's actual bulky yarn. Let's see. It is, oh, I guess maybe it is because it's 109 yards for 3.5 ounces. So that would be bulky, wouldn't it? I don't know. Anyway, yay! I feel like my Personal Stash Yarn Challenge things have been all like lightweight yarns this year. So I'm glad to have something a little heavier weight. That's exciting. I'm so glad. Okay, I have some new things to show you from the show. I actually did some shopping at the show, which was exciting. And the first thing I'll show you is this bag. These bags end up at so many shows and I've never purchased one, and I always look at them and I think it's so pretty. This is like the fair trade bags. I don't have the tag. I don't know what I did with the tag. It was at a booth that was outside, like in a truck, and it had been raining that day, so it was a little damp. When I brought it home, I just hung it up, and I must have taken the tag off of it. But anyway, if I can find the name of the women who make, I think they're from Africa maybe, and they're fair trade goods. So anyway, I got a basket. Like, I just think it's so cool and pretty. So that was my one purchase. And then I got some yarn. Libris Yarn was my vending neighbor. She was in the booth right next to me. And I'll tell you what, I could have gone crazy in her booth because all of her colorways are super dark and moody. This is called Cultish. The base is Soul Knit, which is a fingering weight, 4-ply, 75-25 superwash merino nylon. So it's looking much brighter than it really is in person. Light's kind of blowing it out. But anyway, I don't know what it'll become, but I thought it was pretty. So that was one purchase. Then there was another vendor down the way who had some absolutely beautiful projects that she designed, but her yarn was also super pretty. And this is from Liverpool Yarns, and I bought these 3 skeins. It's red, a barber pole, and the natural. I don't know what this is going to become either. It might become a cowl, actually. So this is 100% Shetland wool, sourced in Great Britain, spun in Pennsylvania. So fingering weight, 180 yards and 50 gram skeins. So let's see, the color is Awesomer, that's the white. Winterberry is the barber poled one, and Trillium is this reddish one. So beautiful. And then One Sly Fox was there. We used to vend together at a lot of local shows, and she does stitch markers and things. And this is what I got. I got a frog. Isn't it cute? I'm not actually sure that this is a stitch marker. I mean, it could be used as one. It could. I know she makes like orifice hooks and needle threaders, and I think this might be like, you could use this as a needle threader because it's long. I mean, you could use it as a stitch marker too, but it's kind of long for that. So I don't know. But anyway, I got this because I thought the frog was super cute. Here's her card. One Sly Fox, Sarah Tiegler. I was cleaning up and I found something I forgot to show you. It was something that I got at the show. I thought there was something missing, but it was hiding under something else, and that's how I missed it. Anyway, I got 2 other skeins of yarn, and these are from Dusty Tree Dye Works. I love Rebecca's yarn. The very first version of the moss stitch shawl that I'm designing, I knit with her yarn. I think that was my January Personal Stash Yarn Challenge project this year, actually. Yeah, she does such fun colorways. Anyway, so these are 2 colorways on her root fingering weight base, and I don't see colorway names on them, so maybe her colorways are kind of more one-of-a-kinds, but anyway, they're beautiful and they go together great. They will be a project together. I don't know what yet, but I'm just happy to have them, so there you go. And then the only other thing I bought, I didn't bring in because it's not knitting related, but Wren Rita was there, another one who I used to vend with her a lot too locally, and she had these like, not bath bombs, shower steamer things that smell like menthol and eucalyptus, and you put them in the shower and they kind of melt and steam while you're in the shower. They smell so good. Oh my gosh. So I got a couple packages of those from her. But yeah, those are some new things. So that was fun. I absolutely got nothing new on my trip because it was not one of those kind of trips, so I don't have any, yarn or goods, but I have lots of memories. Oh, sometimes those are the best kind of things to bring home, right? Okay, moving along here. We're going to go to the Stop Shooting on Yourself Make-Along prize winners, the SSOY MAL prize winners for May. Now, I have all the information about the make along both in the Ravelry group and in the blog on the fibernymphdyeworks website. You are most welcome to join in on this make along. It's running all year. You can hop in at any time. It's a very, very low-key, loosey-goosey kind of make along this year, but I would love to have you be a part of it if you would like to join in. I am doing prizes at the end of every month. One for the chatter thread, which also includes any comments that would be left on the thread in the blog. One for finished objects, and one for Instagram tags. Now, there's a little issue with that one this time, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I have a winner for each of those, and your prizes for this month. Remember all these colorways I showed you at the beginning of the podcast? If you didn't watch that part and you jumped ahead, that's okay. But if you're one of the winners, you're going to want to go back. Because your prize is you can go to my shop and you can pick any single skein of self-striping or inversible sets. You can do an inversible set if you prefer. And if it's in stock and you want to pick it, you let me know and I will send that to you as your prize this time. Thought I'd make it super easy for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to announce these 3 winners. If you are one of the winners, please email me at lisa@fibernymphdyeworks.com and let me know what your colorway choice is. Just to be on the safe side, give me a couple options because somebody could purchase it before I get your email. You know, I just need a backup. But go ahead and let me know what your prize choices are and what your mailing information is, and then I can get those out to you. So again, any one of the single skein self-striping yarns or an inversible set that's in the shop. Okay, so prize winners. First up, for the chatter thread, we had posts 1,734 through 2,104. Random number generator chose post number 1,833, who was Sloth Crafter, who is Mo. Congratulations, Mo. I'm so happy to announce that you're one of the winners. Okay, finished objects. We had finished objects numbers from posts 183 through 231. I didn't do the math to figure out how many finished objects that was, but random number generator chose post number 195, and that was Knits and Reads, who is Susan, and she had finished the Ice Sling baby cardie and hat. It was really cute, so congratulations, Susan. And lastly, Instagram. Okay, Instagram is gonna drive me crazy because they've changed something in the way things show up when you search tags. I used to be able to search the hashtag 90K soy mal and have a whole, page of tagged items come up in reverse chronological order. So the newest one would be first, and then they would go back and they would be in chronological order in reverse, right? So it was really easy for me to tell how many posts had come in for any given month. They don't do that anymore. The only thing I can do is I can go in and I can filter it either by top posts or newest top posts. That is not helpful because if you just go to the tag on the page in Instagram and start scrolling through, you'll have a post that came in 6 hours ago, and then one that came in 14 weeks ago, and then one that came in 3 weeks ago, and then one that came in 7 days ago or 6 days ago. They are in order, and I cannot find any way to get them to show up in a specific order. I've searched, I've Googled, I've tried to figure it out, and all I can find is that the way it is right now is you can search for the tag and then the algorithm decides what pictures you're going to get to see and in what order, which absolutely stinks for the purpose of trying to do prizes on a monthly basis, because there is no way for me to be able to go in and figure out what ones were in the month of May, because it doesn't even have a date on them anymore. It used to put what date that post was made. Now it just says 7 weeks ago, 14 weeks ago, 2 days ago, 8 hours ago, whatever. So what I have opted to do, and if you have a better idea, please let me know, because I'm at my wit's end on this. What I decided to do is I'm just taking my phone, getting on the tag page and scrolling really fast and randomly hitting my finger down on a picture, and I look at it and I see when they say it went up, and if whatever time frame they tell me, if that fits with the month of May, that prize winner, that person's a prize winner. If it's outside of the realm of that period, it doesn't qualify. That's all I could do. That's the only thing I could figure out how to do. And so using that very non-scientific method of choosing a winner, the winner for this month, for May, is Instapam Pep, who is Pam. And she had posted a picture of some shorty socks that she knit. And I do know that that was from May. Anyway, so congratulations, Pam. But honestly, I'm so sorry that I don't have a better way to award the Instagram prizes now, because Instagram has just gone berserk and changed the way things show up. I even updated my app because I thought, well, maybe my app's just out of date and it's not showing up right. No, this is how it is now. So if you guys have any other ideas of how I can see things in like a chronological kind of order, I am all ears. Otherwise, this is how I'm going to have to do it. So, okay, again, if you are one of those 3 winners, Sloth Crafter, Knits and Reads, or Instapam Pep on Instagram, please email me, lisa@fibernymphdyeworks.com. Let me know your prize choices from the shop for the self-striping yarns and your mailing info, and I'll get it out to you. Thank you to everybody who is participating. I finally caught up with all of the posts in the thread on Ravelry this morning. There were over 300. There was probably closer to 400 at this point, because I got so far behind while we were away and kind of the couple weeks leading up just because of the show prep. So I'm caught up now. Yay. All right. That's almost everything I have for you. I just want to talk real quick about a little bit of other shop stuff. I already told you the Holiday Countdown Collection pre-orders end at the end of the day Thursday. So like first thing Friday my time, I will be taking that down out of the shop. I told you about the show inventory, what's up, what will be coming up. That'll be already going on. The only thing I wanted to mention that I haven't talked about is my next Yarn and Fiber Club. I am going to be putting that up before the end of June. I don't know specifically when, but I don't like to have multiple things up as pre-orders at the same time if I can avoid it. So like I want to wait until the Holiday Countdown sets are down out of the shop before I start advertising a club. But anyway, I will tell you, I haven't advertised it anywhere or talked about it, but the theme of this club is going to be the Lepidoptera Yarn and Fiber Club. And Lepidoptera is the order of insects that includes butterflies and moths. So I could have called it the Butterfly and Moth Club, but I like the word Lepidoptera. I think it's fun to say. Lepidoptera. Lepidoptera. So it's going to be much the same as my last several clubs have been. There will be yarn options, full skein yarn options, half skein yarn options. All the yarn will come with a mini skein, 1 or 2. I can't remember how I did it last time, if I did it with 1 or 2. I think I did it with 2. And then there will also be fiber options. So you can be looking for that. Again, be subscribed to the newsletter. That's the best way to find out about that kind of stuff. But yeah, and those will ship in the final weeks of July, September, and November. So we'll have fun with our butterflies and moths well into the fall season. Okay, that is everything. I'm going to go. This was a long one. I am sorry, but you know, it's been an age since I talked to you guys, and there was a lot to share. Hopefully I didn't forget anything important. As always, I appreciate you being here. Please feel free to leave comments if you have questions. I'll be happy to answer them. And again, if you want to know what's going on in the shop, the newsletter is the best way to find out about that kind of stuff. Or I also post that kind of things to Instagram and the Facebook page. Otherwise, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you're having a lovely June, and I will talk to you again much sooner than I did this time after my last podcast. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.